The courtroom was completely silent. Not peaceful silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like everyone is waiting for your life to break in front of them. I sat on the left side of the courtroom with my hands folded tightly in my lap. My fingers had turned pale, but I didn't move. Across from me sat my ex-husband Daniel, expensive suit, perfect hair, calm smile. The same smile he used every time he lied. His lawyer stood up, walked toward the judge, and said, "Your Honor, my client is only here to protect his son." I lowered my eyes. Protect? This was the same man who disappeared for months, the same man who forgot birthdays, ignored school meetings, and never answered when our son was sick. But today, in court, he looked like the perfect father. Then his lawyer turned toward me. "Mrs. Carter may love her child," she said, "but love is not enough. A child needs stability. A child needs money. A child needs a proper home." She looked at my simple dress, my old handbag, and my tired face. Then she said the words that crushed me. "She is not fit to raise him," I stayed silent. But my 7-year-old son, Noah, heard everything. Daniel's lawyer placed several documents on the table. Photos of my small apartment, my work schedule, my bank statements. Every struggle I had survived for my son was now being used against me. The lawyer continued, "Your Honor, she works late nights. She rents a small apartment. The child doesn't even have a private bedroom. My client can provide a large home, private school, a nanny, and financial security." Daniel looked at the judge and said softly, "I just want what's best for my son." I stared at him. I remembered the night Noah had a fever and Daniel didn't answer my calls. I remembered when Noah needed money for a school trip and Daniel said, "That's not my problem," but in that courtroom Daniel was acting like a hero. The judge looked at me. "Mrs. Carter, would you like to respond?" I opened my mouth. But no words came out. How could I prove love? How could I explain the nights I skipped dinner so Noah could eat? How could I prove that a small apartment full of love was safer than a big house full of lies? Then suddenly, a small voice came from the back of the courtroom. "Your Honor?" Everyone turned. Noah was standing. Noah stood near the back of the courtroom with his school backpack on his shoulders. He looked so small, too small to be standing in a courtroom. I quickly whispered, "Noah, baby, sit down," but he didn't sit. The judge looked at him gently. "Young man, do you want to say something?" Noah nodded. Daniel's lawyer immediately stood up. "Your Honor, this is inappropriate. The child is too young." The judge raised his hand. "I will decide what is appropriate in my courtroom." Then he looked at Noah. "Come forward." Noah walked slowly to the front. His little hands were shaking, but his voice was clear. "My mom told me not to talk," he said, "but I have to." Daniel's face changed. Noah took off his backpack and placed it on the table. Then he opened it. Inside were papers, drawings, a small box, and a red notebook. The judge leaned forward. "What is that?" Noah held up the notebook. "This is my proof." Noah opened the red notebook carefully. His small fingers moved slowly over the cover, like he was holding something very important. "My teacher told us to write about our family every week," he said, "so I wrote what really happens at home." The courtroom became even quieter. The judge leaned back in his chair, but his eyes stayed on Noah. "Go ahead," he said gently. Noah looked down at the first page. His voice was soft, but every word felt louder than shouting. "This one says, Mom came home tired but still helped me with homework." He turned another page. "This one says, Mom didn't eat dinner because she said she wasn't hungry, but I knew she gave me the last food." My eyes filled with tears. I wanted to stop him, not because he was wrong, because I never wanted my child to remember my struggles. I wanted him to remember bedtime stories, warm hugs, and birthday candles, not empty plates, not tired eyes, not the sound of me crying quietly in the bathroom when I thought he was asleep. Noah continued turning the pages. This one says, "Mom walked in the rain because the bus was late. She told me it was fun, but her shoes were wet all night." Someone in the courtroom sniffled. The judge lowered his eyes for a moment. Noah turned another page. This one says, "Dad promised to come to my school play, but he didn't come. Mom came after work, and she was still wearing her uniform." Daniel looked down. His lawyer stopped smiling. For the first time that day, Daniel didn't look confident. He looked exposed. Noah swallowed hard and turned another page. This one says, "Dad called me on my birthday, but only for 2 minutes. Mom made me pancakes with a candle in them because we didn't have cake." My chest tightened. I remembered that morning. I remembered pretending the pancakes were a surprise party. I remembered Noah laughing with syrup on his face. I never knew he had written it down. Then Noah pulled out a small box from his backpack. It was an old shoebox covered with stickers and tape. Inside were handmade birthday cards, folded drawings, and small notes. He showed them to the judge. "These are the cards Mom made for me when she couldn't buy expensive gifts," Noah said. "She told me they were made with love." His voice shook. "But they are my favorite gifts." The courtroom stayed silent. Noah looked at Daniel for a second. Then he looked away. "And this drawing," he said, holding up a crayon picture, "is from the day Dad forgot to pick me up." Daniel's head snapped up. Noah kept speaking. "I waited outside school. Everyone went home. Mom came running from work. She was crying and saying sorry, even though it wasn't her fault. My tears fell before I could stop them." The judge's face had changed. He was no longer just listening. He was understanding. Then Noah reached into his backpack one last time. He pulled out a folded paper. It was old, creased, hidden carefully between the pages of his notebook. His hands were shaking now. "And this," he said quietly, "is the letter Dad gave me." Daniel's face went pale. His lawyer turned toward him quickly. I felt my heart stop. Because from the look on Daniel's face, I knew Noah had just pulled out something he never wanted the court to see. The judge looked at Noah. "What letter?" Noah unfolded the paper. Daniel suddenly stood up. "Your Honor, I don't know what that is." But Noah looked at him and said, "You gave it to me, Dad." The courtroom froze. Noah handed the letter to the judge. The judge read it silently. His face changed. Then he read one part aloud. "When you live with me, you won't have to see your mother struggle anymore. You'll have a better life, and maybe one day you'll understand why choosing me was the right thing." My heart dropped. Noah looked at the judge with tears in his eyes. "Dad told me if I lived with him, Mom could finally rest. He said Mom was too tired to take care of me." Daniel's lawyer tried to speak, but the judge stopped her. Noah continued, "But I don't want a big house. I don't want a nanny. I want my mom." His voice broke. "She doesn't have much money, but she always shows up." For a long moment nobody spoke. The judge looked at Daniel. Then he looked at me. Then he looked at Noah. "Young man," the judge said softly, "do you feel safe with your mother?" Noah nodded quickly. "Yes, Your Honor. Does she take care of you?" "Yes." "Do you want to live with your father?" Noah looked at Daniel. Then he looked down. "No," he whispered. Daniel's lawyer said, "Your Honor, the child is emotional." The judge looked at her coldly. "Children are often emotional. That does not mean they are dishonest." The courtroom went silent again. Then the judge said, "Money can provide comfort, but comfort is not the same as care." He looked at Daniel. "A parent does not become present only when a courtroom is watching." Daniel's face turned red. Then the judge gave his verdict. "Primary custody will remain with the mother." I covered my mouth as tears fell down my face. Noah ran into my arms, and for the first time that day I could breathe. Outside the courtroom, the hallway felt colder than the room we had just left. People were walking past us, lawyers were carrying files, and somewhere far away another family was probably waiting for their own verdict. But for me, the whole world had gone quiet. Noah was still holding my hand. His fingers were wrapped around mine so tightly, like he was afraid someone might still take him away. His backpack was back on his shoulders, but this time it looked even heavier. Not because of books, because of everything he had carried inside it. The notebook, the drawings, the birthday cards, the truth. I knelt down in front of him and gently touched his face. His cheeks were wet with tears and his lips were trembling. "Baby," I whispered. "You were so brave in there." Noah looked down at the floor. For a few seconds he didn't say anything. Then he asked me a question that broke my heart. "Mom, did I do something wrong?" I froze. After everything he had done, after standing in front of a judge, after telling the truth with a shaking voice, after saving both of us from a lie, he thought he might have done something wrong. I pulled him into my arms and held him as tightly as I could. "No," I whispered. "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. You told the truth." His small hands grabbed the back of my dress. "I didn't want them to think you were a bad mom," he cried. That was the moment I broke. Not inside the courtroom. Not when Daniel's lawyer insulted me. Not when they used my poverty against me. I broke right there in the hallway holding my little boy, because I realized he had seen everything. Every sacrifice I tried to hide, every tired smile, every meal I skipped. Every time I said I'm okay, when I wasn't. He had noticed. I thought I was protecting him from my struggles, but somehow he had been protecting me too. I wiped his tears and said, "You should never have had to defend me." Noah looked at me with those innocent eyes and said, "But you always defend me." I couldn't answer. Because he was right. That's what love does. It stands up, even when it's scared. It speaks, even when its voice shakes. It stays, even when life becomes heavy. A few minutes later, Daniel walked out of the courtroom. For the first time that day, he didn't look powerful, he didn't look confident, he looked empty. He glanced at Noah, then at me, but Noah stepped closer to my side. Daniel opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, maybe an apology, maybe another excuse, but no words came out, and honestly, I didn't need any. The judge had already spoken, Noah had already spoken, and the truth had already won. I picked up Noah's backpack and held his hand again. "Come on," I said softly. "Let's go home." Noah looked up at me. "Our home?" I smiled through my tears. "Yes, baby, our home." And as we walked out of that courthouse, I realized something. Our apartment was still small, my bank account was still low, my life was still hard, but my son was walking beside me, and that meant I had everything worth fighting for. That day, the court didn't just decide custody, it revealed the truth. My ex had money, he had a large house, he had expensive clothes, a polished lawyer, and the confidence of a man who thought the world would believe him because he looked successful. But success is not the same as love. A big house does not automatically become a home. A full bank account does not automatically make someone a good parent. And a child does not feel safe because of expensive furniture, private schools, or perfect family photos. A child feels safe with the person who shows up, the person who remembers their favorite snack, the person who sits beside them during nightmares, the person who works until their body hurts, then still comes home and asks, "Did you eat?" That was the truth Daniel forgot. He thought he could win with money. He thought he could make me look weak because I struggled. But he didn't understand something. Struggle does not make a mother unfit. Sometimes struggle is proof that she never gave up. I used to be ashamed of how little I had. The small apartment, the old handbag, the second-hand clothes, the bills stacked on the kitchen table. But after that day, I stopped seeing those things as proof of failure. They were proof of survival. Proof that even when life gave me less, I still gave my son everything I could. Noah taught me that. My 7-year-old son walked into court with a backpack full of papers, but what he really carried was the truth. The truth that love is not always loud. Sometimes love is a mother sitting alone in the kitchen, calculating bills with tired eyes. Sometimes love is pretending you're not hungry so your child can finish the last plate of food. Sometimes love is showing up to a school play straight from work, still wearing your uniform because your child is looking for your face in the crowd. And sometimes, love is a little boy standing in court and saying, "I don't want a big house. I want my mom." People think children don't understand. But they do. They see everything. They see who leaves. They see who stays. They see who makes promises. And they remember who keeps them. That day, I walked into court feeling poor, tired, and afraid. I walked out holding my son's hand, knowing I was richer than Daniel would ever understand. Because I had Noah. And Noah had the truth. The quietest person in that courtroom gave the strongest testimony. And in the end, the quiet verdict was not spoken by the judge first. It was spoken by a child who simply knew where love lived. That night when we came home, Noah looked around our small apartment and smiled. "Mom," he whispered, "I'm happy we're home," and that one word broke me. Home, not a big house, not expensive furniture, not money, just love. Daniel tried to prove I was poor, but Noah proved I was present. He proved that a child doesn't need the richest parent, he needs the parent who stays, the parent who shows up, the parent who loves even when life is hard. That day, I didn't just win custody. I learned that my son had seen every sacrifice I thought no one noticed. And in the end, the strongest verdict didn't come from the judge. It came from a little boy with a shaking voice who said, "I don't want a bigger house. I just want my mom." And that was the quiet verdict.